If you're scared to start because you're scared to fail, I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but you're a loser. And before you guys go and click out of this video or before you start getting offended, when I say loser, I'm not saying that you're an incapable person. I'm not saying that you're an unintelligent person. But if you're somebody who allows your fears to be your decision maker, then you quite literally or quite frankly are a loser. And I can say this because for many years, this was me. I was somebody riddled in fear. I was somebody so anxious and like worrisome, like a worrywart. And because of my fear and because of my anxiety, I tried to control it. And then, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it led to a lot of missed opportunities. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about why not allowing yourself to fail is actually preventing yourself from succeeding. So, welcome everyone. Hi, my name is Claire, and you are tuned into the very first episode of Let Me Clarify. Let Me Clarify is a podcast where I take simple phrases, beliefs, statements that you might hear in your everyday life, like I'm always a work in progress, or sometimes you just need your mom. And I take time to clarify that. I take time to elucidate. Ooh, look up that word. Through personal experiences, reflection, conversations. And this is what Let Me Clarify is about. So it is a space for growth, honest conversation, and hopefully we can consider or maybe even just listen to other perspectives, because that is something that I've struggled with. I've been told I'm not a great listener. So this is really my dream and my vision for Let Me Clarify. So today's episode is I've titled this episode Quit Being a Loser. And what does that mean? I will explain what it means to be a loser. Please don't feel offended by it, because sometimes, like if we're being 100% real, sometimes the things that we do is loser behavior. And you need to either have yourself or surround yourself with good people to check that. Hey, you're being a loser right now. However that needs to be, it doesn't have to be as harsh as that. I just come from experience where I speak very bluntly, very plainly. So I'm not offended if somebody said, you're being a loser, because I can understand the context. But how and why did I come up with this idea? So a few months ago, I was reading a book that was recommended to me by a friend called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I think that I'm kind of like moving into a realm where I want to better myself. I think when you reach like maybe your mid-20s, approaching 30, then you kind of go into this like space of like, what is my life? You know what I mean? Or I want to be a better person. And that is where I am. So I totally, completely relate to Kai Cenat and his reading journey. And that's what I'm doing too. I'm trying to learn through books. So my friend recommended Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So I'm reading this book and it's whacking me left and center. And one of the major topics of the book is talking about minding your business. And basically he's saying that, to be financially stable, you need to find a business, something that brings you joy, that you are passionate about and that you're interested in. You want to learn more. You want to be invested in this business. So I'm like, trying to think about my business. What am I doing? And I'm reading this book and I stumbled upon a quote. I wrote it down, so let me look. The quote says, "Winners are not scared of losing, but losers are. Failure is part of the process. People who avoid failure avoid success." And when I read that excerpt, sorry, I can't even speak. When I read those few sentences, I was like, whoa, like this is taking me way beyond just financial literacy or financial advice. I realized then and there, I was a loser in so many aspects of my life. So I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, like Winners are not scared of losing, losers are. I've been a loser for so long. I'm scared of trying new things. I'm scared of putting myself out there. Like, because if you look in the context of this book, and he's talking about all the people who have all this money and who are financially stable, they didn't like sit in their room and be like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could do this. They did it knowing very well, hey, I might lose in this, but I also might win. And you learn so much when you put yourself out there. So when I'm reading this book, it's really talking about finding your passion, and it brought me here to this podcast. For 3 years, I have been talking about a podcast. I've been like, yeah, I'm going to start a podcast. I think this idea popped in my head in 2021. So as I was editing this first episode, I actually stumbled across a video that I made in 2021, the end of 2021, going into 2022, where I talk about my desire to, I didn't say start a podcast, I said vlogging, but pretty much the same thing. I wanted to vlog, podcast, and I name the reason why I didn't do it. So let's watch this clip real quick. So starting in 22, I'm gonna vlog. Like, I think I have a lot of cool things to say, but I'm just like, literally, I hate criticism. I want people to love me all the time, but that's not the world that we live in. So at this point, like, if you don't like it, you don't have to entertain it. You know what I mean? You don't have to click. You can unfollow me. But if you do like it, follow me. I'm like, yeah, like, to sing for my podcast. Yes, girl. But I allowed my fear, I allowed my anxiety to stop me, or maybe just prevent me from seeing this through. Specifically, my fear of criticism. I conditioned myself to think the worst and maybe to embrace the impact of failure. And I ultimately ended up a loser. And I'm like, dang, like, where could I have been today if I started 3 years ago? So much better now, but but then I also think, like, maybe I just wasn't ready, because when I first had this idea about Let Me Clarify, it was in the similar context of, like, I wanted to talk about hot topics or maybe controversial things and clarify it. So my ideas at first were like, college is a scam, let me clarify. Such a oversaturated topic. And I realize now, with a little bit more life under me, that I really didn't have some experiences or just even expertise to speak about some of the things I wanted to speak about. And I was probably going to create a lot of rage bait content because my ideas are a bit outlandish, and I'm scared to even say that. Hold on, wait a minute. I don't think that my ideas are outlandish. Let me not say that about myself. I just think that sometimes I go against the grain. Some people can describe me as a contrarian, and some of the things that I think, not that many people are on the same page with me. So I'm just going to keep a little of those to myself. Let's get to know each other a little bit before we delve deep in there. I could get prematurely canceled with no audience, but I had to realize that, and maybe this is me, like, being a loser. I'm being a loser right now when I'm speaking to you, because I'm saying, oh no, I shouldn't have started, blah, blah. I could have started and I could have learned through those mistakes. But now I'm learning through missed opportunities. So I'm thinking about, like, me and, starting this podcast. I don't know unless I try. I don't know if I'll be good at this unless I try. And so that got me to thinking, why is this so hard? Why is this so hard for me to start? Why is it so hard for me to believe in myself? And I had to think, what are the biggest obstacles that are preventing me from living the life that I want to live or becoming the person that I want to be? It's the new year. We're like 2 weeks into the new year. By the time you're listening to this, we're actually 2 months into the new year. but the message is still the same. This is a time where all of those dreams and aspirations that we have for ourselves, they start dropping off. And we start reverting back to our behaviors and our comforts. But I really told myself that in this new year, in 2026, like I was really going to quit being a loser. I'm going to no longer being scared to lose because I want to win. I want to succeed. And to succeed, you have to put yourself out there. So it really got me to thinking, what are my main barriers? What has prevented me in the past from being this person that I want to be, from being like that girl? And I realized one of the barriers for me was that I've just always been in a state of comfort and complacency. Yes. I never have allowed myself to push myself beyond the comfort zone. Like when I work out, if I get uncomfortable, like I taper down. When I used to run track in high school, so like I'm not an athletic person by any means. And me and my sister, we kind of stumbled upon track. And I'm going to be so honest, I really wasn't good. Pretty bad. Very average JV runner. I remember one time we had a home race, a home track meet, and my coach had two teams, like the A team versus B team on a 4x1 or a 4x4. And he put the distance runners on the B team in the 4x4, and he put me, my sister, and other few like mediocre runners in the A team. And, he really wanted us to fight to do that. And I had pushed myself, I'm running. But as soon as I hit that wall or I felt that pain, I fell back. I did not allow myself to go beyond that uncomfortable space. So I kind of like relate that to your daily life. Like sometimes you're gonna be uncomfortable, but the change, what do they say? Change happens the most when we're uncomfortable. And I just was never there. So it's so funny because I accidentally have taken running back on. And I now understand what my coach was trying to tell me, like just push, just fight, just give it your best effort, because at least if you didn't win or if you didn't get the outcome, at least you put it all out there on the floor. And I'm realizing that now. Like I just did a race a month ago and it was an easy 5K. I think I was like feeling myself a little confident. I've been losing a little weight. So I've been, feeling great. And then I'm running this race and I get this stitch at like a mile and a half. So I'm like trying to run through the stitch. It was so bad. And I'm like just pushing through it. And it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't. So I just started to walk. And I had somebody on the race, she gave me a tip like, oh, if you're feeling a side stitch, put your hands up. So I'm literally running with my hands above my head like this, trying to do with a side stitch. And I just kept going. And I literally had like maybe that 0.3 left of my 5K. And I feel so nauseous. So I'm put off to the side. Like I have to stop to the side of the road to throw up. And I'm like, it is literally the worst race ever. But I pushed myself to a level where I didn't know I didn't think I was capable of doing. And now, like, look at me. I finished the race. And I'm proud of myself because I went outside of my comfort zone. So that was the first step. That was the first thing that was preventing me from living my best life, being a winner and succeeding. Was I just was scared to be out of my comfort zone. So don't do that. Challenge yourself outside of that. The second thing that I realized, and I learned this term this year or last year, was I suffered from a mean case of analysis paralysis. So analysis paralysis is when you are overthinking and you can't make a decision. I'm really butchering that definition. If you want a better definition, I would implore you to look it up. But basically, it's somebody who overthinks and you can't make a decision. And I was I was watching a TED Talk about it. And she said the reason why a lot of us struggle so much with making decisions is because, what did I tell you in the beginning of this? because of our fear and anxiety. When we have fear about something, we're anxious about something, we want to manage or minimize that risk. So we move into a control mode. I got to control this. I got to control this. And this reminds me of when I got laid off. Okay. I got laid off from my job and I never thought this would ever happen to me. You always hear stories about like, oh, massive layoffs, but you don't think that's going to be you. And when I got laid off, everybody was saying like, oh, take time off, go on a vacation, do this. I'm like, with what money? What? I can't do it. I'm like anxious, fearful. And because of that, it did not allow me to make the best decisions, the best choices. And I just moved in a space of survival instead of like moving to live. So I found myself in wretched, horrendous jobs that I absolutely hated. Like during my layoff period, I became a substitute teacher. 10 out of 10 don't recommend. If that's not your passion, if you love to teach, then go for it. I was teaching 11th graders and whoa, they taught me a lot about patience. I worked a few retail jobs and then I worked as a patient care tech with, oh my gosh, it was crazy. It was not a great time in my life, super stressed. And that is because I was riddled with that anxiety. And she says when you're trying to control or manage those risks, you fall into that bucket of missed opportunities. There's so many missed opportunities when you let fear and anxiety take over. And for me, I was thinking that same thing, like, oh my gosh, there's so many things that I could have explored during that time. Like I really could have explored starting my podcast. I could have explored other things, other avenues, but I was so scared to do that. So that's another thing. It was the analysis paralysis, and then it was too scared to get out of my comfort zone. And another thing for me, which probably isn't for you, what was preventing me from succeeding or from becoming the person who I want to be? Because I'm telling you, 2026 is my year, okay? I'm not letting nobody take that away from me. This is all about me. What did Issa say? It's a me season. So another thing that I think had been preventing me, or maybe in a way is preventing me from betting on myself or just being no longer being scared to start, is my upbringing. Yeah. I don't want to say I grew up with traditional African parents because I really did not. My parents are very non-traditional, and I really love the childhood that I received and that, I was able to have. What I can say is my parents are extremely dramatic. And like what I think reflecting is what I learned is like sometimes when you're around adults who don't understand things or it's different from them, they're so quick to shut things down. So if everybody around you is shutting it down, if you're not strong enough or if you don't have that self-belief, you're going to, like, at least for me, I was going to follow suit. Like, oh, don't do this, don't do that. I'm trying to follow suit. So I had to realize, like, and also to succeed, you kind of have to go against the grain a little bit. Like, blaming other people for your missed opportunities, guess what, guys? Loser behavior. Quit being a loser. So I'm like, okay, like, it's a loser to only be in your comfort zone and complain about it. It's a loser to be in this overthinking realm. Like when I'm looking up how to overcome, because I was looking up how to overcome analysis paralysis, I saw this one thing that they said, when you have that, when you are like scared to make decisions or you're overthinking, it's because your action muscle is weak. So practice 3 actions every day, like commit to something and do it. And I realized that is what I'm currently doing. Like I have accidentally picked running back up because one day I committed to going on a run. And then every day, not every day, but moving forward, I committed to do that consistently. And now I've run 3 races. I'm maybe signing up for a marathon. Look, this is me allowing fear. I'm scared to sign up for the marathon because I'm fearful that I'm not gonna finish. But should I let that fear prevent me? Because in 2-3 years, it could be like, dang, I should have at least applied for it. I should have, if I didn't finish, at least I went out there and tried, you know? So maybe I'm taking this marathon. I don't know, guys. I'm scared. But people walk marathons, so I can walk one. But yeah. And just like going against the grain, it's okay. So I'm going to say, what are the 3 things? Analysis paralysis, practice those action steps, push yourself out of the comfort zone. It's okay to go against the grain. On TikTok, there's this girl, Tamara, I don't know her name. She has this comment that's going viral about it doesn't have to make sense to you as long as I understand it. And I'm like, honestly, yes, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. As long as you understand it and you believe in it, then go ahead for it. Am I giving you a Mel Robinson like fluffy filter, fluffy like self-help things? Maybe, but it actually works. It actually works. So just as I bring this to a close, this is a short episode, a little thing. If you guys have been feeling like me, maybe you've been a loser in your previous past. Maybe you're upset because of all these missed opportunities and you're sitting now in 2026, halfway through the first month, and you're like, you can decide. This is where you decide, guys. Am I going to take this year and just keep doing how I'm doing? Or am I going to quit being a loser? Am I going to start succeeding? Am I going to be a winner in life and put myself out there every step, every day? I don't know. I'm trying to be motivational here. So one, I would implore you to take this time as we're in that month of January, that new month of the year. This is a reflective month where we can decide 2 weeks in, guys. We're 2 weeks into this new year. Claire from the future here. Again, by the time that you guys are listening to this first episode, it is not 2 weeks into the new year. It's actually 2 months into the new year. And just a little transparency, the reason why it's taken me this long to release this episode is because as much as I'm talking about fear and like attacking it and stop being a loser, I recorded this episode and I played it back and I was like so fearful. So again, I have to be vulnerable. I was a loser in that moment, just sitting on the episode, allowing myself to procrastinate. You know, I have other things to do. I have work, I have this, I have that. So again, this is 2 months into the new year. And I wanted to make this pause and this interjection because I think it's even more important that we hear this message now. Because that first month, you can either hit the ball running or you could be like, I didn't start off the new year well and I might as well just go on the same way that I'm going. No, guys, it's still so early in the new year that you can turn it around. If you want 2026 to be your year, if you really want that, take this second month and go forth with it. Consider January as a free trial month. That, you tested the waters, you saw what works for you, you saw what didn't, and now you're going to take February and try to move a little bit better. I was reading an article, a Vogue article a few weeks ago, and it was talking about 2026. And, basically you guys have heard that 2026 marks the start of a new 9-year cycle. If you're into numerology says that 2026 is a dynamic year. It is a year for fresh starts, for growth, and it's also a year for you to not forget the lessons and the experiences that you learned in your past. You want to bring that with you. You do better because you know better, right? So you might have fallen. What do they say? We fall down, but we get up. So you might have fallen in the past, but please, I'm begging, don't give up on yourself. Not in this second month of the new year. So I would implore you guys to do a self-reflection, a personal inventory on where your headset is, because Your mindset is it's a look into your future. So if you're coming in with a negative mindset, oh, I'm never going to do this. Oh, I'm never going to lose that weight. Oh, I'm never going to finish that book, or I'm never going to travel. Guess what, babes? You're never going to do it because you've already told yourself. Another thing that I think that is a loser behavior, guys, let's talk about it. People pleasing. That's out. We're talking about ins and outs of 2026. Why are we still pleasing other people? A quick little aside. Today, I've been called a coward by this guy who I briefly entertained, but I realized there was no future. And I had told him on more than one occasion, but he's still trying to hit my line. So today I said, I'm going to text him instead of, because I was ghosting him, but he's still texting me. So I'm like, let me just text him once again to let him know, hey, this ain't it. I don't see a future with you. He's going to say, coward woman, why don't you say it to my face? Mind you, I live in the West Coast. He lives in the East Coast. How would I say it to your face? I would have to fly over. So with that being said, I'm done pleasing other people. I'm sorry you didn't like the way I approached the situation. I could have FaceTimed you. However, I didn't want to deal with your manipulative behavior. So yes, you could call that cowardly. I'm calling that taking control. I'm calling that no longer people pleasing, no longer being a loser. Because I don't argue with people that I don't want to be with. It's like, hey guys, hey dude, I don't want to be with you. So people pleasing, quit being a loser. Also, what is loser behavior? Lack of confidence. Start believing in yourself. Start saying, yeah, I got this. Yeah, I'm the SHIT. If people want to call you self-centered, conceited, guess what? I have a reason to be. What did Remy Ma say? I'm conceited. I have a reason. Okay. Another thing that's loser behavior, this kind of ties in with analysis paralysis, is thinking that you need to be perfect before you start. Start messy. And I know that what I'm saying is nothing new. You could probably, again, hit up Mel Robbins or David, whatever his name, and they're saying the same things. But guys, like, it's actually true. Start messy. I talked about how I started this running journey accidentally because one day I just decided to run. And when I moved here in September, I couldn't even run 10 minutes without stopping. Now I did 8 miles. So start messy. Another thing, and I don't want to sound cliche, but show up for yourself daily. Like this also speaks to those action steps. Make an action, make a decision, and stick to that. If you're going to say, hey, I'm going to work out today, if it's a 10-minute workout, if it's an hour workout, you did that. Not everything is going to look 100% all the time, but at least you're making that decision. Hey, I'm going to read a book today. Kai Cenat said every day he's going to read for 12 minutes. I don't know. He's doing that. Y'all are clowning him, but he's bettering himself. So joke's on y'all. And this kind of brings me to, I don't know if you guys watch RuPaul Drag Race, but RuPaul, he talks about inner saboteur. And that's your internal voice that is a voice of self-doubt, fear, and negativity, and it's going to hinder personal growth. So I would say try to minimize that inner saboteur and find a mantra. A mantra is a saying or power, like a saying or a chant you say to like encourage and motivate you. Hold on, let me get the real definition because now I'm just making stuff up. What is a mantra? Mantra definition. It is a word or sound repeated to aid concentration and meditation. Or it said a statement or slogan repeated frequently. Find your mantra. What's going to help you be that person that you want to be in this new year? What's going to help you succeed and move beyond that fear? For me, it's quit being not quit being a mantra. It's quit being a loser. Anytime that I feel like I am giving up on myself, that I am allowing fear to take over, anxiety to take over, I'm telling myself, Claire, quit being a loser. You're being a loser. Or guess what? That's loser behavior. People in my line trying to circle back. Loser. You're being a loser. Ain't nothing happening with a circle back. Loser. Or anytime I have the inner talk. Like I remember I used to tell myself, oh, you're so stupid. You're so dumb. Oh my God. I used to say those things. Now I'm like, that's a loser. Why would you call yourself stupid? I'm not stupid. What did Wendy Osefo say? I got 2 degrees, okay? I know I'm not dumb. I know I'm not ugly. Look at me. What? So quit being a loser with that. Yeah, so just saying, like, I reflecting on my life and in my stage of adulthood, I kind of joke around and say that I'm in a teenage stage of adulthood. So this podcast is for people in all stages of adulthood, in your infancy, your childhood, adolescence, or teenage, or you grown. I think you can learn something from here. I think we can grow. And I've had a lot of highs, I've had a lot of lows, but I can confidently say that I'm moving into a happy area or a happy era of my life where I'm genuinely happy. You know what I mean? I genuinely believe in myself and I genuinely love me. Like, because I love me, I want the best for myself. And I'm going to speak very honestly, I'm so scared of going back into that low mindset. Like, I used to be so negative. I used to be so depleted. And that actually fears that actually scares me. And when I'm now happy and I'm now moving and I'm now lively, I'm like, I don't want to be in that phase where I'm in a survival mode. So what's been helping me? Honestly, running has been helping me. There's just something about endurance sports and like challenging your mind to go beyond those limitations that have been helping me gain self-confidence. Other things that have been helping me make sure that I'm not in this rut that I once was for many years is I like to be a girly girl. So I like to do girly things. Like I have my nails done, I'm getting jewelry, you know what I mean? Like I'm cute. And I really want to this year build community. Like that is such a focus of mine. I think part of the reason why I was also a loser behavior, is because I was alone or I was by myself. I was secluded and a recluse. So I really want to build community. And I'm doing that through activities, going to Solid Core, hanging out with my family, all those good things. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing to try to be the better person, try to succeed in this year, and no longer be a loser. So this conversation has triggered to me the importance of personal check-ins and self-reflection. And I hope it's done the same for you. And I'm going to leave you with a few questions that maybe you can ponder and we can come back to them next week. The first is, are you aware of when you began to abandon yourself? Or maybe when you began to exhibit loser behavior? If so, do you have any practices or personal mantras that you are applying in your life to kind of check yourself and snap out of that self-sabotage, to calm that inner saboteur? Another question, how are you cultivating self-acceptance, love, and how are you cultivating authenticity in who you are in your daily life? What is your personal mantra when the going gets tough? For me, you already know. I'm saying it till my face turns blue. I'm done being a loser. Okay? Anyway, I would love to hear how this conversation has sat with you. And if you guys have similar experience, I would love to hear that as well. If you would like to support my podcast, I would please encourage you guys to write a review. It's going to be super helpful to let other people explore and discover who I am. Thank you guys.